This video is created for educational and informational purposes only. It uses AI-generated visuals and animations to illustrate archaeological discoveries. All depictions are artistic interpretations based on real, peer-reviewed research and excavations from Ukraine, Russia, and the Czech Republic. We honor the incredible ingenuity of our Ice Age ancestors. Imagine this. You are standing in the middle of a frozen wasteland. Temperatures drop to -40 degrees Celsius. Blizzards howl across an endless white plain. There is no wood for miles, no caves nearby, just grass, snow, and the bones of giant mammoths. In this brutal environment, a small group of early humans did something extraordinary. They didn't just survive, they built houses, solid, warm, sophisticated houses, using hundreds of massive mammoth bones as their main building material. These weren't simple tents, they were engineered structures that stood for decades. Some were occupied for generations. How did they do it? Why did they choose mammoth bones? And what can these 25,000-year-old homes teach us about human resilience? Today, we travel back to the peak of the last ice age to uncover one of the most impressive architectural achievements in human prehistory. Welcome to EnigmaUS. Around 25,000 to 15,000 years ago, during the last glacial maximum, much of Europe and northern Asia was covered by tundra and permafrost. Vast herds of woolly mammoths roamed the so-called Mammoth steppe, a cold, dry grassland stretching from France to Siberia. In this harsh landscape, early modern humans, Homo sapiens, faced conditions far more extreme than anything most of us can imagine. Yet instead of retreating south, they stayed and thrived. One of their greatest innovations was the mammoth bone hut. The most famous examples come from Eastern Europe, modern-day Ukraine and Russia. Sites like Mezerich, Mezin, Dobrynishevka and Kostienki have revealed over 70 of these remarkable structures. Let's look at the most well-preserved example, Mezerich, Ukraine, discovered in 1965. Archaeologists found 4 large circular huts arranged in a small settlement. The largest one was about 8 meters in diameter. Its walls were built from the bones of at least 95 woolly mammoths. That's over 300 individual bones, skulls, jawbones, femurs, tusks, and ribs carefully selected and arranged. The foundation was made of large mammoth skulls placed upside down in a circle. Long bones were stacked vertically like wooden logs to form the walls. Ribs and smaller bones created a lattice framework. The entire structure was then covered with thick layers of mammoth hides, sod, moss, and clay to make it windproof and insulated. Inside, they dug storage pits into the permafrost that acted as natural refrigerators. They built multiple hearths, some with stone linings to retain heat for hours. Smoke holes at the top allowed ventilation while keeping warmth inside. According to a 2024 study published in the journal Archaeological and Anthropological Sciences, these huts were not temporary shelters. Radiocarbon dating and analysis of occupation layers show some structures were used repeatedly over decades, possibly even centuries. They were permanent winter homes. How do they move these massive bones? A single mammoth femur can weigh over 100 kilograms. Researchers estimate that building one large hut required the coordinated effort of 10 to 15 people working for weeks. They likely dragged bones across the frozen ground using sledges made of mammoth tusks or hides. A 2025 study from the University of Tübingen analyzed tool marks on the bones and concluded that many mammoths were not hunted but scavenged from natural death sites. This shows a highly organized society capable of long-term planning and resource management. What makes these structures even more impressive is their design sophistication. Many huts had entrances facing southeast to catch the morning sun and avoid the coldest prevailing winds. Some featured internal partitions separating sleeping areas from food storage. At Mezin, archaeologists found evidence of artistic decoration, mammoth bones engraved with geometric patterns and even painted with red ochre. These weren't just survival shelters, they were homes that expressed identity and culture. Compare this to modern survival. Even today, with all our advanced materials and tools, building a durable, insulated shelter in -40 degrees Celsius conditions using only Stone Age technology would be an enormous challenge. Yet our ancestors did it routinely for thousands of years. Similar mammoth bone structures have been found across a wide area, from the Czech Republic Predmosty to Russia, Kostienki and Sungir. This shows the technology was widespread, not a one-off invention. At Sungir, Russia, dated around 34,000 years ago, researchers found not only bone structures but also elaborate burials with thousands of ivory beads, suggesting these communities had time for art, ritual, and status display, even in the middle of the Ice Age. So how did they stay warm inside? Besides the thick insulation, they burned mammoth bones as fuel. While bones don't burn as well as wood, when mixed with fat and dried dung, they produce a slow, steady heat perfect for long winter nights. Excavations show large quantities of bone ash inside the huts. They also wore sophisticated layered clothing made with eyed bone needles, invented around 40,000 years ago. A 2024 study in Science Advances confirmed that these needles allowed them to create tailored parkas, pants, and boots with fur-turned inward technology that kept them alive in conditions where modern humans without proper gear would suffer hypothermia within hours. The mammoth bone huts represent a peak of human ingenuity during one of the harshest periods in our species' history. They demonstrate planning, cooperation, engineering knowledge, and cultural richness. These people didn't just survive the Ice Age, they built communities, raised families, created art, and passed knowledge across generations, all while living among giant mammoths and under constant threat of glacial cold. Their story reminds us that humans have always been remarkably adaptable. When faced with extreme challenges, we innovate, cooperate, and build solutions that seem impossible. If this journey back to the frozen world of our ancestors amazed you, hit the like button right now. And if you want to discover more incredible stories about how early humans survived, innovated, and built remarkable things long before civilization, click the red subscribe button below, turn on the notification bell, and join the EnigmaUS family today. Comment below, would you have dared to live in a mammoth bone hut during the Ice Age? If you're already subscribed, write, I dare to know. I read every comment. Thank you for traveling with me to the Ice Age. I'll see you in the next video, where we uncover even more astonishing chapters of human prehistory. Stay curious, stay resilient. This has been EnigmaUS.